Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Intuitive Creators Podcast, the sacred space for creators, visionaries, and wild-hearted beings reclaiming their truth, their power, and their path. I'm your host, Mandee Rose, artist, yogi, intuitive, and your guide for the journey of soul-led creation. Today's episode is for my multi-passionate souls, the ones who've been told they're too much, too scattered, or need to just pick one thing. Nonsense. If that's you, take a breath. You are not broken, you are not failing, you are not too much. You are wired for multiplicity, for exploration, and for expansion. And today we're going to talk about why being multi-passionate is not only valid, it's sacred. Let's talk about the myth of being too much. I really gotta start here because this is gonna be a very jam-packed episode. So grab yourself a hot beverage or something that grounds you while you're listening to this, or maybe you're on a walk. I have no idea, but really tune into what this might mean for you, or maybe you know somebody that has this same complex, and maybe you share it with them. Who knows? Let's start with the story we've all been told, that success equals specialization, that to be credible, respected, or worthy, you have to pick one thing, one career, one lane, and stay there forever. But here's the truth. That narrative was designed for industrial era systems, for factories, for predictability, not for souls who came here to create. That doesn't make any damn sense. When people call you too much, though, what they often mean is, you're too free for me to understand, too expansive for me to box in, too alive for me to categorize. And if you've internalized that story, that you have to dim or compress yourself to fit in, it can feel suffocating. But your multidimensionality isn't a flaw. It's the blueprint of your soul. So I want to take a couple of moments to give some background information. I want to talk about some personal stuff, giving you some examples of what I'm talking about here. I think it's really important to give context. So this is a special subject for me personally because I consider myself multi-passionate. I think that for me, I've battled with the idea of being an entrepreneur for so long that it became a believed story that I don't remember writing, So for me personally, I feel passionate about this topic, not just as somebody who's spiritual, but as a creator in general. I really, really don't believe that we are supposed to niche down, specialize in something. That might work for some people. And when I say some, I mean that could be a pretty large chunk of people. But it's not for everybody. I'm really tired of this thinking of it's this or that with so many things. I think society really lacks gray area of that expansion of perspective and ways of thinking, I think that creative entrepreneurs struggle because of those people not understanding, what it's like to be a creator or an entrepreneur, somebody who creates things from nothing. And also, that's not your experience. Your experience is, I need to do this. I need to create this. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just because somebody else doesn't understand that perspective doesn't mean you need to internalize their beliefs. So with that said, I'm going to give you an idea of what I do. So when people ask me what I do, it's really hard to answer that. All right. If you haven't listened to the episode previous to this one, please do. It's more of a yoga subject, but I want to invite you to listen to that one. I am a graphic designer. I'm a photographer. I am a marketing specialist. I also am a yoga teacher. I am a tarot reader, specifically a psychic tarot reader. And I consider myself overall an artist, but really I'm an entrepreneur. So I do a lot of things. Earlier this year, I also added on travel advisor. I haven't really talked about it much via this podcast, but I'm throwing it out there now. So if you are also like me, I want to invite you to take a moment to breathe into this understanding that this does not make you any less amazing or different, right? The world actually really, really needs you, you know? I don't believe that there's only one kind of person. And truly, like, this box that we put ourselves in because of society and the pressures, it's just bullshit to me. Like, no, you cannot tell me what I should be, how I should be, and the path I'm supposed to walk. Like, no. That's not how any of this works. I believe that we all have different paths. We all have different journeys, and no one should be telling anybody else what that looks like and what the experience is. Like, no, you don't have that kind of power and you don't have that kind of control. But I digress. That's usually a sign of somebody that needs a lot of healing. But regardless, so I've struggled personally with this topic and this subject. Lots of internalization of like how I should see myself, all those things. And I've battled with it. I like to think that I've conquered it a fair amount now, where I've accepted that I'm not supposed to have a 9-to-5 job. Like, when people tell me to get a job and they know I'm a yoga teacher and I do all these things, I just now have to recognize that their level of lived experience is minimal. Their perspective is minimal, right? They can only give information from their own lived experience. If all they've ever had is a job where somebody told them what they could or could not do and they collected a paycheck for it, of course they're not going to understand a person like me, right? Of course they're going to be like, yeah, well, yoga teaching's cool, but like, it's not a real job. I think that a job is really, like, the criteria for it is that there's a consistent paycheck. You're doing certain tasks and you're collecting a consistent paycheck. So if those boxes tick off for you, then you have a job. It is a valid display or example of a job. Okay? So I just want to throw that out there. I've had a lot of pushback myself from other people, and really it's just they don't understand. And that's fine that they don't understand. I can still hold space for myself and recognize, like, oh, okay, I see you. We won't be talking about the subject again, or I won't be coming to you for, certain things. I'll just understand that your perspective is very small and skewed. That's fine. But really, I think I've struggled the most with, like, the spiritual aspects. Like, calling myself a psychic tarot reader is very strange to me. And I think that it's mostly because of society and how we don't accept spiritual practices like we did in ancient times. If this was like thousands of years ago, I would be revered. I would have a high-powered job, right? But I digress. Let's move forward, though. Let's talk about why being multi-passionate is a gift. Here's what I want you to hear. Your many passions are not distractions. They are doorways. Each passion, each interest, each curiosity is a thread in your tapestry. Art teaches you presence. Yoga teaches you embodiment. Tarot teaches you discernment. Marketing teaches you how to communicate truth. Together, these threads weave something no one else can replicate. The world doesn't need more people who fit into a neat little box. The world needs creators who honor the full spectrum of who they are. Think of historical and spiritual figures. Leonardo da Vinci, Maya Angelou, even yogic sages. None of them chose just one thing. They let life flow through them in many expressions. That's what made their work timeless. Your passions are the way your soul speaks to you, pointing you toward what lights you up and expands your spirit. When you follow them, you activate creative energy that ripples into everything else you do. Being multi-passionate keeps you adaptable, resilient, and endlessly curious. Qualities the world deeply needs. It also prevents stagnation because you're always evolving, always learning, always bringing new layers of wisdom into your work. Every time you engage with one of your passions, you're sharpening tools that can be applied elsewhere in surprising ways. This interconnectedness makes your perspective unique. You see patterns others miss because you've lived in many worlds. Your life becomes a living mosaic, a spiritual practice in itself, where no passion is wasted. Instead of being too much, you're actually weaving the exact medicine you came here to offer. Now, I think this is a really great segue into the spiritual perspective of this episode. So from a spiritual lens, being multi-passionate is often linked to a soul contract. Some souls incarnate with one mission: to master one art, one teaching, one path. Others incarnate to remember the fullness of creation itself. If you're listening to this, chances are your soul chose expansion. You came here to experience, to integrate, to live many lifetimes within one lifetime. Here's the key: discernment. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about trusting which passion wants to flow through you right now. I have an episode called The Power of Discernment. I think it's episode 3 or 4. I can't remember, but highly recommend listening to that if you want to know more about that subject. Your sacral energy, your intuition will tell you. One season may be about art, another about teaching, another about writing. It doesn't mean you abandon the others. It means you are honoring timing. When people misunderstand you, remember, they're often projecting their own fear of stepping outside the box. Your freedom highlights where they feel trapped. Every passion you explore is like a portal, opening you to new levels of soul remembrance. Your interests are not random. They are breadcrumbs leading you closer to your divine essence. In spiritual traditions, curiosity is often seen as the voice of spirit moving through you. Each passion is an initiation, preparing you for the next layer of your Dharma. The more you trust this unfolding, the more your path aligns with divine timing. And ultimately, being multi-passionate is not about doing more. It's about becoming more of who your soul came here to be. So, what are the challenges of being multi-passionate? I think this is a really interesting aspect. Like, it's cool that we can accept this of ourselves, but like, what does that really mean? How did you even get here? How did you even get to the acceptance? I want to be real here. It's not always easy. Being multi-passionate comes with challenges and difficulties. Decision fatigue. There's always another idea calling your name. Fear of judgment. People question your credibility or your seriousness. Oh, and burnout. When you try to do all the things all at once without listening to your body. But here's the truth. The challenge isn't your passions. It's the conditioning around them. The pressure to monetize everything. The pressure to make it linear. You don't have to monetize every gift. You don't have to explain why you love what you love. Some things exist simply to bring you joy. Others will naturally evolve into your soul work. That's the alchemy. And yes, sometimes people won't understand you. They'll say you're scattered, inconsistent, or unfocused. But what they call scattered is actually a beautiful mosaic of soul experiences. The real struggle is trusting your timing when the world is screaming at you to pick one lane. It takes courage to follow your intuition when it doesn't look strategic on the outside. Rest is also part of that multi-passionate path. Integration is just as sacred as creation. You may outgrow certain passions, and that's okay. Nothing was wasted. Everything prepared you for what's next. You may also return to old passions years later with new wisdom, seeing them in an entirely different light. Remember, confusion doesn't mean you're broken. It often means you're expanding into new dimensions of yourself. The key is to practice self-trust. The more you trust your rhythm, the less power outside opinions have. At the end of the day, your many passions are not the obstacle. They're the very map of your evolution. I want to segue into something and give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So yes, there's outside opinions, everybody's got one. Yay. That's not necessarily the problem. It's the trust within yourself, right? But, sometimes there's seasons for our passions. For instance, there are plenty of things that I've picked up and let go of that I never picked back up again, right? For a couple of years, I had a creative magazine, like an online and print magazine that I was running, basically all by myself. I think I only had like 2 other people that I was working with at any given time, but it was like, I want to say like 80-90% of it was me. But, I never went back to it. Does it still intrigue me? Sure. But, I did it. It was cool for a time. But, some things never really go away. So the other example I want to give to you is I've been teaching yoga for the last 8 years. Most of those 8 years has been full-time, and I've loved every aspect of it. I did take a year off, but that was really because of COVID, so I was forced. But during that time, I really truly recognized how much I missed that setting, that role, and the feeling that it gave me when I finished, when I was able to connect with my students and to feel like I knew what I was doing. It's so hard to describe. Hopefully I'm doing an okay job at describing this. But my thing is that even though COVID took me out for a year, I went right back into it. And it was purely by choice. I wanted to go back to teaching again. I was a little hesitant, of course, because of, what was going on at the time. But, I think that was a lot of us. That's just an example of like me being able to choose my own path because I want it. Not because anybody else sees that for me, but because it makes sense to me and it is for me. So some things, they just kind of come and go and you never revisit it, right? It's a cool experience. You learn from it, whatever. You can let it go. But some things will come back. And usually if they come back, it's a timing thing or it's a destiny thing. It's a moment of remembrance, if you will. So let's get right into practical practices because we've talked about quite a bit of stuff right now. And I want to circle it back. So here are some ways to navigate life as a multi-passionate soul. Take these or leave these, okay? Number 1, seasonal focus. Each season, choose 1 to 2 passions to prioritize. Trust that others will circle back, right? So trusting that okay, I've got all these things happening and they're all amazing, but let me just prioritize a couple of them, really put in my focus on those for a period of time. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 3 months. I don't know, right? But you can create that structure, but also give yourself the ability to move on to the next thing whenever you need to. 2, sacred journaling. I'm totally a journaling person. If you don't know, now you know. So ask yourself, what passion feels most alive right now? What lights my body up? So this is more of tuning into your intuition and your physical sensations, your physical indicators, your physical messages, which can be really nice because you're asking the question from your mind, right? So you're starting in the mind and you're entering into the body, which is what I consider embodiment. 3, energy mapping. Notice when you feel expansive versus drained. Let that guide your focus. So again, working with the intuition and the physical messages that are coming up for you. So if you feel like you're expanding, you're really excited, things are working out really well, then continue going towards that, right? Or do you feel tired? Are you drained energetically? Well, then you have 2 things or 2 options. 1, you can just step away for a little bit. Maybe it's just that you need some rest to recover, or that's not for you, right? Number 4 is release the guilt. You don't have to finish every project to honor its purpose. Sometimes a passion was meant to activate you, not define you. So I like this one because guilt can be such a big one for creative entrepreneurs. If you know, you know. Even if you don't finish the project, it's fine. Maybe you just take a break from it. There have been plenty of things I've taken a break from and then revisited a year or 2 later. Now, did I feel guilt during that time? Yeah, I would be lying if I said no, but I felt some guilt, yeah. But, when I came back to it, it was there wasn't any time lost, really. But, sometimes that just means that something activates you and it doesn't define whether or not you're successful or, a complete failure. I personally don't believe in failure. I think that was created by humans because, even when I get rejected from something, that's redirection for me. Oh, that wasn't the that wasn't the way I was supposed to go. Okay, cool. This is the way. I'm going to go over here. Got it. Does it feel crappy? Yes. But sometimes our feelings betray ourselves, right? They might feel crazy, but logically, oh, that's what that is. All right. So I don't want you to put yourself into that guilt space. Maybe you just needed to activate inspiration. Maybe that's all that was. And now number 5, I think, is really, really important, especially right now in this time, is community. Surround yourself with other multi-passionate beings who understand your language. I think there's something to be said about who you surround yourself with. And this is probably likely going to go into a whole nother episode that I am currently working on, so stay tuned. But hear me out here. Who you surround yourself with has a really big impact on you and where you're going. You might want to rewind that and listen to it again. Because it's important. And I say it with so much love, okay? My friends, I say it with so much love. The point of this is not to offend you or make you feel, called out. It's really just that if you want to accept that this is how you are, this is who you are, then you need to surround yourself with people who are like you. Not exactly like you, but who understand your perspective and your choices. Because those are the people who are going to be down for you when you're down and out, right? We are meant in communities to help each other rise, not give in to envy and project our insecurities and be unhealed pieces of shit. That's not what that's supposed to be. And I say this humbly because I have been surrounded for years by people who have projected their insecurities because they don't understand what it's really like to be an expansive, curious, knowledge-driven person. All I want to do with my life is to create and to expand myself, to learn and immerse myself into experiences. There is nothing wrong with that. Now, if I could literally, collect a paycheck every single week for that, and it was plenty of money that I never had to worry about anything ever again, sure, that would be awesome. But it's 2025. That doesn't exist yet. So, we're all working towards the goal of giving more validity and value to those kinds of people and that kind of job, right? Where people get to travel for a living or to teach or to just create in general, right? There are more people nowadays that are creating their own businesses for a reason. And it's really because we as people are sick and tired of being told what we can and cannot do just to take money from a person so we can pay our bills and live. I say that with so much frustration because I live in the United States. And here, the society really doesn't like people who are entrepreneurs, who are, free-thinking human beings who are super curious and want to learn more and more and more. Because knowledge is a threat in this country. Let's be real. That's a whole nother subject we will not be talking about. I want to offer you a mantra that I've been recently using. And I'm not going to gatekeep over here. Mandee Rose is not a gatekeeper, so don't associate me with those types of people. But I'm going to share it with you. I am not scattered. I am expansive. My passions are portals, and I trust their timing. So you can use this whenever you'd like, however you'd like. Maybe it's something you say to yourself in the mirror every morning. Maybe it's something you say out loud in the shower. I mean, I've been there, done that many a times. Maybe it's just something that you write in your journal. I don't know. Whatever it is. If it resonates, it resonates. Being multi-passionate is not about being messy. It's about being magical. It's about remembering that you are not here to fit the mold. You are here to break it. So the next time someone tells you you're too much, smile and remember, you're not too much. You're the medicine. Your evolution, your multiplicity, your expansiveness is a gift this world desperately needs. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Intuitive Creators Podcast. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with a fellow multi-passionate soul who needs to hear that they are not too much. And if you're ready to go deeper, join our growing community of intuitive creators. You can follow my personal Instagram, which is Mandee Rose Artist, or I finally made, well, not that I made a new account, but I changed my photo account to Intuitive Creators. You can follow us over on there. I'm trying to currently create more of a space for topics and discussion. And then I have a Facebook group that is called the Intuitive Creators. So that is another space via Facebook, if you're on there, you're active on there, where we can expand ourselves and help each other rise. Until next time, keep creating, keep expanding, and keep being unapologetically you. Your many passions are sacred, and they're leading you exactly where you're meant to be.